everybody, and welcome to today's video. And in today's video, I'll be doing my updated 2022 Senate map. Now a lot of this obviously is speculative, but a lot of the calls I've been making more recently with a lot of these are very speculative, assuming that certain candidates win things. And honestly, a lot of these races they're really hard to tell without the given candidates or without the candidates that we know. So some of these races we already know who's going to win and by how much. But depending on the candidate, I will give how much I think they would win by, or what their margins would be, and honestly what they would be. So that's just one little thing I want to go through out there. I started by labeling all the safe D states: Washington, Oregon, California, Colorado would be safe. Michael Bennet ran ahead of Hillary Clinton. Joe Biden won it by 13.5%. It would likely be a fairly blue state. He'll probably win up by over 15%, considering the fact that he outperformed Clinton. I think he would probably perform similarly to Biden, but this will also be 2 years later. And he is the incumbent senator. For the Republicans, Utah, Idaho, the Dakotas, Kansas, Oklahoma, Louisiana, Arkansas, Iowa, Kentucky, Alabama, South Carolina. Now, Iowa, Chuck Grassley is likely going to run. Even if his grandson were to run, it would still probably be safe, maybe a high likely. I've said this before and I'll say it again. I don't think that just because you don't like that somebody, or just because you think that somebody is too old to be running for a seat does not mean that you're going to vote against them. LTE said it would be likely because a lot of people don't want Chuck Grassley to run again because he's so old. Think about it from the perspective of those voters, though. If you're a conservative in Iowa, or a swing voter that leans to the right in Iowa, and you see either Chuck Grassley, who you like and you approve of, or a Democrat who you disapprove of, you're going to go with Chuck Grassley. Even though he's too old, you're not going to vote against him just because he's too old. It's just not really, it doesn't make much sense. You wouldn't vote for somebody that you disagree with because one of the other people is, one of the other candidates too old. It just doesn't make any sense. So for the Democrats' likely states, though, I actually don't think that they have any. I don't think they have any likely states. New Hampshire, I'll get to that in a minute. So, for the Republicans' likely states, I'm going to give them Indiana, Florida, Alaska, and New Hampshire. So, New Hampshire may come as a bit of a surprise. I'll get to that in a minute. As for Indiana, I think that, like I've said this before, the Indiana Democratic Party is a strong party. They typically nominate fairly strong candidates. Evan Bayh, Joe Donnelly was the senator from there for a bit, so they nominate strong candidates. And the Indiana GOP is, I guess, a pretty average GOP. The two senators that they have, Todd Young, one of the more moderate members of Congress, not like a Shelley Moore Capito or Lisa Murkowski, but not Tommy Tuberville either. One of the more moderate members is from there. But then they also have Mike Braun, who, according to VoteView, is one of the most 10 most conservative senators. I think it was the fifth most. So they aren't really notable or anything. So there's not really much on that front. In Florida, Marco Rubio is the incumbent. The only way I see the seat getting competitive is if the GOP nominates someone that's very far to the right, or somebody that's unpopular. If they were to nominate Ivanka Trump, I could see it happening. But the Democrats would either have to nominate Stephanie Murphy or Val Demings. So it's highly unlikely that the seat is actually very competitive. I think that Rubio versus Murphy is what we would likely see right now. I think that Murphy is more or less throwing a seat away if she runs. I think she does. Yeah, last time I checked, she still has her seat. I'll take a double check on that. I think she won in 2020. Now I'm questioning everything that I know. Give me a second. Everything that I know, but yes, thank God. I was beginning to wonder, hold up, is Stephanie Murphy, I don't know. Because it just doesn't seem very smart. You have the seat that you're gonna win, and you're running in a seat that you're not gonna win. She's not gonna win in Florida. It's not gonna happen. For it to happen, it would be highly unlikely for it to actually happen. She would essentially be throwing away a seat. I think it's a bad move. She would either have to wait 2 years to run again in the seat, and then there could be questions about whether the current incumbent's better or anything. It could really hurt her, so I don't think it's a very smart move. But I think that we could see her do decent, especially against other candidates. I think against other candidates, she would probably be a fairly strong candidate. Just against Rubio, a popular incumbent in the state that likes incumbents, I don't see her actually being able to carry that seat. in Alaska, ranked choice voting, I mean, like, I could help. I don't have a 2020 or 2016 Senate map pulled up. I'll go do that quickly. Sorry, I have so many things closed from earlier. Sorry, that's my table. Sorry, that's my table creaking. But I mean, like, if we go look at Alaska, Murkowski won it by like a likely margin. Hardly likely. I think it was likely margin. Let me go double check that. Yeah. No, a safe margin, 15.3. I just think that at this point, Murkowski, I mean, like, with this ranked choice voting, she won't be able to get enough of the Trumpist vote. I think that she'd do better with, liberals and moderates, like independents and Democrats. I just don't see her being able to do strong enough or well enough with, the actual, Republican-based field to carry it safe. I think it would probably be likely, though, if she were to become a Democrat, which she won't, it would probably be lean blue. Actually, it would probably be likely blue, because she'd still get a lot of support from people that would vote for her regardless. Anyways, and then New Hampshire, this is purely speculative. This is one of my earlier calls that I said was speculative. Chris Sununu running is what I'm basing this off of. I'm going to assume that Sununu is going to run, because, I mean, like, Sununu, here's the thing. Hassan won. She was the governor before this. She won by, like, 1,000 votes, or a little over 1,000 votes in the Senate race. So she won the Senate race. Not by a lot, but she still won it. She was the governor beforehand. She won that race by, like, 5%. In a red wave, yes, but still. Then, Kelly Ayotte, before that, in 2010, won the Senate race by, like, 30% or something. A red wave, yes, but still. So, but then she went on to beat her. So a Democrat, or a governor, and these numbers are slightly skewed to the right, but still, because they were both red waves. But essentially, that means that a Democrat or a governor who won by 5% beat a senator who won by 30%. And when you have a governor who won by 30%, I mean, like, when it's the senator winning by significantly less than the governor, the waves and the partisan lean of the state, they become irrelevant. Chris Sununu is so popular in the state. There's no way, or I could maybe see him losing, but I mean, like, people compare this to, like, Montana, and they say, oh, but Steve Bullock didn't win. Yeah, Montana's a red state. Trump won there by, like, 16%. New Hampshire, yes, it's a left-leaning state, but it's still a swing state. It's a swing state regardless, which is why Sununu would win there. I mean, like, I'm trying to think of another example of a governor going on to run for a Senate race. I can't think of anything off the top of my mind. Rick Scott, actually. Boom, right there. That was Rand Hall celebrated that I know one example of that, which is kind of pathetic, but whatever. Or not pathetic, but I mean, I guess, I don't know. It's sad that I was celebrating that, I guess. Or I guess I was happy that I finally thought of something. I don't know, kind of weird. But anyways, Scott, I mean, like, he was able to win his Senate race after being a governor. It was a red state, but it's like a swing state, yeah, and he hardly won. However, Sununu, like, once again, he won by, like, 30%. I mean, like, I'm not certain Scott's margin's a victory, but, because I just haven't looked into that. I probably should, though. But he's just so overwhelmingly popular. I just don't see it happening. Or the Democrats being able to win there. For the Democrats' lean states, I think it would be likely blue without Sununu. Maybe lean blue. But with Sununu, it's a likely blue state. Or a likely red state. Nevada, Arizona, and Pennsylvania. So in Nevada, Adam Laxalt will, I'm not certain that he'll definitely be the nominee, but there's a good chance he will be. Catherine Cortez Masto will probably beat him by like 3 or 4%. Most other Republicans, it really depends. Against Sandoval, I'm going to have to rank this or rate it like likely red, maybe lean red. Sandoval's already said he's not running though, so that doesn't really mean anything. I mean, it would be pretty safe for the GOP with Sandoval, but once again, he's not running, doesn't really mean anything. We can speculate with different people all we want. The Arizona GOP are completely and utterly incompetent. They can't seem to understand strategy, and it doesn't make much sense. They run they love Trumpists, and then I completely forgot the word. My mind is just blanking. They censor. That's the word. No. They censor literally any Republican who doesn't support Trump. Cindy McCain. Doug Ducey. Ducey supports Trump, but they are so loyal to Trump, and in a state that does not like Trump, where Trump, I think it was shifting to left, and it's gonna flip eventually, yes, and I would say it was probably gonna flip by 2024 though, and Democrats would probably win it by like 3% in 2024, as opposed to narrowly winning in 2020, maybe 2% in 2024. It was probably gonna flip in 2024. Honestly, maybe even 2028. I mean, like, it was, I may have a 2012 map up. I don't think I do. But, I mean, like, it's like, it was not going to flip for a long time. But then Trump ran, and it became like a red state or a blue state because of Trump. They do not like Trump. But they can't seem to nominate anybody except for, like, hard-right Trumpists. Like, they're probably going to nominate, a far-right Trumpist like Andy Biggs or Paul Gosar, and it's going to screw them over. Mark Kelly's probably going to win by like 4 or 5%. So it's a really bad sign, for the Arizona GOP that they can't seem to really run anybody who's not Trumpist. Kelly Ward could run. She's very Trumpist. That's just another person off the top of my head. Pennsylvania, it's like a blue-leaning state. I don't really know who the GOP would run. Maybe Ryan Costello. I don't think he would win, though. I think he's too moderate too moderate, essentially. He's too Romney-esque-ish. I guess Romney-esque. Against Fetterman, I think that Fetterman would probably do better than Kenyatta, just because I feel like it's strange. The rest of it is kind of confusing, or at least it has been in recent years. But the more like quote-unquote extreme candidates, the more progressive, Trumpist, whatever, candidates do better here than the moderates. Like, Tammy Baldwin, Wisconsin's a great example. Tammy Baldwin's a progressive, Ron Johnson is a Trumpist. It's really, really strange, and Bernie would have probably done better than Biden in the Rust Belt. It's a very strange, area, but regardless, looking at this, I think that this Fetterman's progressive populism would probably do better than Kenyatta. I think Connor Lamb would probably do better than both of them, though. It would be hard to tell, but I do think it's probably lean blue until we see anything else for the Republicans' lean states, Missouri and Ohio. Now, these are probably fairly controversial, especially considering the fact that I labeled Missouri and Ohio lean, yet New Hampshire likely. But let me explain. In Missouri, this is off the assumption that the candidates are Lucas Kuntz for the Democrats and then Eric Greitens for the Republicans. Greitens is an awful, awful candidate. I mean, like, here's the thing. 2016, it was a narrow Republican margin of victory. I mean, like, we can go look at 2016 over here. Roy Blunt won by 2.8%. That's not a large margin of victory at all. That was against Jason Kander, who is a very strong candidate. Kuntz is a lot like Jason Kander. Kuntz is a pretty strong candidate. However, Eric Greitens is significantly worse than Roy Blunt. Way, way worse. Which is why I think we could see the state slip down to being tilt blue. I don't think it's outside of the realm of possibility, and I don't think it's unrealistic to say that there's a good chance that it votes to the left of New Hampshire, which is surprising to say that it would vote to the left of Florida, Ohio, New Hampshire, Alaska. It's a very strange thing, but I do think that it's a possibility that it votes to the left of those states. It's I don't want to say unlikely. I think that Greitens and Kuntz might not be the nominees. If they aren't likely, if Kuntz is nominee versus a strong Republican, maybe like a low likely, and at best from like a high lean. But if it's Greitens versus a average Democrat, maybe lean likely. But if it's a regular Republican versus a regular Democrat, that's probably a safe maybe likely state. I think right now, I am going to label this lean just because I do think that they are too strong, or that they are two candidates that would make this a state that is strong for the Democratic Party, I guess. So yeah, it's kind of weird. And it's purely speculative. In Ohio, another similar thing. I mean, like, I'm struggling to think of who the GOP could run. I can actually go look at this. Over here in Wikipedia, I just have North Carolina open, midterms, Ohio. I mean, like, we can go look at the GOP candidates. Just looking at these, I mean, like, Timken, I think I used her for an election night. I was working on one. So I don't necessarily see, a whole, wow, that's a lot of declined. It's like a long, long list. Kasich declined. Has Mike DeWine declined? Actually, I'm going to see if Mike DeWine's declined. Decline. It's kind of funny. Here. I'm going to go look for his name. Mike DeWine, has he declined? No, has he? No, he has not. Okay, that's very interesting. I don't actually see his name over here. That's strange. Anyways, so, I don't really see any Republican that would, like, carry it by, like, a Trump margin, but I also, well, maybe Jim Jordan. Actually, probably not Jim Jordan. I also don't really see any Republican that would lose it. I can see Democrats that could do bad there. Establishmentarian, moderate Democrats would not do very well. I could also see Democrats do very well. Tim Ryan is a great example. He has this progressive working class aura to him, and he likely will be gerrymandered out of his seat by 2022. Sorry, my father was just walking directly in front of me. If you heard the floorboards creaking, that was kind of random. Anyways, Tim Ryan is a fairly strong candidate. I feel like he's pretty good with the working class, especially the working class in Ohio. So it could be a fairly strong showing for him in Ohio. I just don't see him doing well enough to be able to flip it. That's assuming that he runs. I mean, like, there's a good chance that he doesn't get gerrymandered out of his district and he's fine. And yay for Tim Ryan, he gets to just stay in Congress or whatever. But I mean, even then, he may still run. I feel like if there's one Democrat that the GOP wants to gerrymander out, it would probably be Tim Ryan. Although, to be fair, it could backfire because then he might end up running and winning. But it's not going to happen. Now for the Democrats' tilt states, I'm going to give them Georgia. That's it. So, what's his name? I forgot his name. Actually, just a second. Sorry, I had to go get my phone. I just got the New York Times notification. Vernon Jones, that was his name, announced his run for governor, so that's just a fun little tidbit, I guess. But Warnock is strong. He'll probably do pretty well with minority voters, probably do pretty well in the suburbs, and not do poorly enough. Like, he might do pretty bad in the rural areas, but I don't think he'd do poorly enough to be able for it to be, like, that bad for him. I also think that he'd be on, like, obviously would be on the same ballot, or likely would be on the same ballot as Stacey Abrams, so we'd likely see a higher minority turnout. But just because of that voter suppression bill, and the fact that, I mean, like, Herschel Walker, if he were to be the nominee, is a pretty strong candidate, that it could be a close race. I mean, like, I don't think that Walker's announced yet. David Perdue announced and then declined, which is strange, but whatever. Or he didn't announce, he filed paperwork. But, yeah, I am going to label this tilt blue just because we're not seeing comment, probably going to have higher minority turnout, and probably will do better in the suburbs. And the Georgia GOP really likes Trump, and they're probably going to be able to nominate a nominee, that's not Trumpist. As for, the Republican tilt states, Wisconsin and North Carolina. So in Wisconsin, I do think that we could see it slip down to tilt blue. I don't think that's outside of the realm of possibility. We can go back to this. If Ron Kind were to be the nominee from the Democrats and Ron Johnson were to retire, actually, well, maybe not Ron Johnson retiring. I mean, like, we could see, Ron Kind, the 3rd district. We could see, I guess, a Republican, like a hard-right Trump Republican, end up running. But, Johnson already is. I just feel like his incumbency would probably help him. I feel like the Democrats would do best if Kine were to be the nominee because he has white working class appeal, and then the GOP were to nominate another far right Trumpist, but not Ron Johnson because Johnson's the incumbent and it could help him, which is why I'm labeling it tilt red. As for North Carolina, it could be tilt blue. It's not outside of the realm of possibility that it's tilt blue. Like Pat McCrory is a pretty weak candidate. I don't necessarily know that he'll be the nominee, but there's also the possibility, or the likelihood, I guess, that Jeff Jackson is the Democratic nominee, and he's a pretty good candidate. I feel like he has the working class appeal, has a suburban appeal, probably do pretty well in urban areas. I think that he is a fairly strong candidate, and I think we could see it be tilt blue under him. I just think that against Mark Walker, it'll probably a high tilt, maybe a low lean, and a worst case scenario for him. But I do think that it would be a tilt red state. So yeah, this is my final prediction. My predictions have been fairly consistent. I don't think I've had a flip. Well, since what? My beginning of February prediction, when I labeled New Hampshire tilt blue. Other than that, I haven't had a single flip, I don't think. So yeah, that was interesting. I think that day I was watching an episode of The Simpsons. Actually, I watch an episode of The Simpsons every day, but the episode where they went, or they were gonna go to Mars or whatever. So yeah, that's kind of a bit. This is a strange bit. The house that was over my spring break, so I kind of remember just being down, on my first floor watching The Simpsons. The house episode I made was the episode where Marge and Homer realized that they hadn't been legally remarried and they were getting remarried. So yeah, I watch a lot of The Simpsons. I have a problem. But yeah, thank you guys so much for watching this video. If you enjoyed it, please leave a like below. Stay tuned for my next video tomorrow. I have an idea for what I can make, but it probably won't. I'm still working on it. It's taking a while. It's kind of hard. So that video. Sorry, that was a very loud cough. I don't know if you could hear that. My dad just coughed. Anyways. I have a video idea for tomorrow. It probably won't be able to be up by tomorrow. It's probably gonna take a while. But tomorrow is Friday, so yay. I'm gonna do my ELA homework, or my, reading for ELA tomorrow morning, and then do all my stuff for class tomorrow. Because I don't really want to do it right now, because I kind of just want to, relax. Yeah, once again, tomorrow's Friday. Hopefully, I'll be able to get that video out by, Sunday. If I have enough free time over the weekend. Not certain. I might make a video about how the 2022 Senate map is looking good for the Democrats. I don't know. It might be too early to make that yet. We may need more news. Maybe hear a Tim Ryan announcement in Ohio, a Ron Kind announcement in Wisconsin. Something like that for me to really be able to make that video. So I don't really know what I'm going to make. So please comment your suggestions down below. Subscribe to my channel if you haven't already, and I'll see you all in my video tomorrow. Bye.